So yeah, coming to myself, my name is Goutham Bandapati. I'm a senior cloud and AI architect at Microsoft. So today we have discussed a lot of great things, best practices in FinOps, right? Now, what I want to do is I actually wanted to add a little more color or a different angle to FinOps, and then add resiliency into that, and discuss about how we balance the trade-offs. So, I mean, as we all experienced the recent AWS outage, the internet outage basically, and then we had similar outages in the past, like CrowdStrike or other things. So, how do we like balance costs and then everything else basically? So, one thing what I want to touch is FinOps is basically it's a discipline, right? As I actually, in my role, I talk a lot about cloud resiliency. And as a FinOps practitioner, I talk about the cost optimization stuff too. And then I talk to like mid level, small, and large enterprises on day-to-day basis. One thing that strikes me, like whenever I talk about FinOps, the cost is the only thing that actually comes into everyone, like cost of savings. Cost optimization is the only thing that actually comes into picture. So this effort today is to add like more color on how to actually balance everything along with managing the cost. See, cost savings should be the byproduct of FinOps practices. It should not be the only goal. So that is something that we should all, as practitioners too, as advocates, we should let our teams and organizations even understand that. So again, focusing on the greater visibility on what FinOps, the practices provide, the operational reliability, the business agility, and how we like align everything together. So, along with this, I actually wanted to address one of the critical concern that we have in the industry as well. So, before that, one thing what I want to touch is uh, now we need to have this clear understanding of the trade-offs between how we balance our costs, like how we, again, when we talk about FinOps or when we even discuss about all these things, like how we understand the trade-offs between the costs and reliability, and even to the matter like security or performance. See, as FinOps practitioners or advocates, we all understand and we all like talk to our customers, organizations, that cost consideration should always be part of the design, right? I mean, these are not after the thought, but along with that, in the same way, like your security considerations or security discussions and reliability discussions, they should all have the seat at the same table. Only then we can actually build that reliable and cost efficient and the right platform or the right solution. So for that, the core things that one need to understand, and I actually liked the statement that Frank mentioned, or it might be Shannon, about FinOps Plus. I mean, it's not just this thing. We need to enhance our capabilities or add more things into that. It's like understanding the SLAs, the service level agreements, the RTO, the recovery time objectives, the recovery point objectives for the solution. Like what exactly we are developing, and then how that the definition of risk that is created, like what would defining the risk, like what is the acceptance criteria, and then balance like this solution with cost. Like coming up with, once we have all that in place, okay, then how can we add all that in place and then optimize it with cost. So, and then one of the most important thing that needs to be considered when we are having this financial discussions is tiering of applications based on their criticality. So, we have seen enough number of outages in the industry, and these are inevitable. We can't just stop them. So the most important thing as a FinOps practitioner, as a FinOps advocate, that we need to understand is what is the cost of downtime. So if my solution goes down, what am I losing in general? What is the impact? Is that like monetary? Is that a reputation thing? Is that whatever? So understanding that monetary, understanding that cost of downtime is very critical, and it actually justifies like higher spending for greater reliability or for greater security. At the end of the day, not every application should be treated in the same way, And that too, mission critical applications definitely needs a better strategy. And I actually will talk about a tiering strategy later. Later. But that said, now I want to address one of the critical concern that we have in the industry too. This is actually raising. Before that, just want to talk about this. I mean, going to flashback 2017, 2018, or maybe even before that, where we had this pay-as-you-go hype. I mean, this was a revolution in the IT, right? Like every IT exec liked this idea. I mean, they loved this idea. No capital expense, unlimited capacity. I mean, when we are talking about going to cloud, unlimited capacity, focus on the agility and focus on the core priorities. That was all good. And then everyone loved this idea, started moving into cloud. But then fast forward to 2024, 2025, when we see a lot and lots of customers moving into cloud, or lots and lots of organizations moving into cloud, and then lots of investments made in the cloud, organizations slowly started realizing that there is a crack in this model, or is that a crack in the cloud even? I mean, one of the standard FinOps practice that we follow is like optimize and yeah, like right size your resources, optimize them, shut down when idle, those kind of scenarios, right? So now one of the core thing is like, okay, you try to bring down your systems. That's cool. That's one of the standard practices. And then when you try to bring them back online, mm, there are reports that you get there is no capacity available in the cloud. So what does that mean? Does this contradict with what we all does it contradict with the primary reason that why we are in cloud? That cloud has infinite capacity, right? So that is one of the critical understanding that or realization that someone needs to understand is at the end of the day, it is someone else's data center. I mean, this is the common challenge with all the clouds like AWS, Azure, or GCP. Basically, the core thing here that I'm trying to say is capacity is finite. And then several organizations are actually facing, in practicing FinOps, they're actually struggling with this one. And it is actually contradicting. So, do we actually have a solution for that? Definitely. So, cloud, I mean, all hyperscalers, all cloud providers provide this concept, which is capacity reservations. The common thing when I start discussing about this, the question that I get is, oh, forget about that. We already have reserved instances, so I think we are good. So this is different from the reserved instances. So on-demand capacity reservations, or in general capacity reservations, these actually allow organizations to secure resources for a flexible terms. I mean, again, these are unlike the reserved instances or savings plan. You don't actually have to reserve it for a 1 year, 3 year, 5 year period. Basically, all what you're doing here is you are reserving the capacity that is required to run your workloads. So, is this a strategy that is needed for everything? Maybe not, but this is definitely required for applications which cannot withstand any outages, or which cannot actually fall into the trap of the capacity issues. So as we just looked into the mission critical applications, at the end of the day, if something can't actually tolerate any downtime, then that is where you need to actually consider this new construct or new concept in cloud, where you can secure that capacity. And this is a difference between reserved instances and capacity. I mean, reserved instances in general, we all understand that, right? It is like getting a 1 year or 3 year commitment. Primarily focused on the discounts, whereas the on-demand capacity reservations are again very specific to the capacity. So at the end, the primary goal of this is like you can actually so by getting capacity reservations, basically you're paying for the capacity for the entirety of it. But the good thing is you can always top it with reserved instances or committed, I mean, savings plans or these kind of things to get the cost benefit, but at the same time, even achieving the capacity reservations, or securing that capacity, which this combo can actually, I mean, I mean, the capacitor reservations and reserved instances need not be in silo. They can actually be combined together to get that resiliency and also the cost benefit, which is again true FinOps. And the other important thing is the smart architectural practices. So when we talk about, or when we start designing any application, right, at the end of the day, the core things that we discuss, what are the RTOs, RPOs, the SLAs, and what is the criticality of the application, and then based on that, use the right strategy. Okay, is auto scaling or scale sets like a good strategy, or is it statelessness, like maybe like Kubernetes kind of an environment? Do we have enough automation in place, like leveraging Spot? It all depends on how you tier your applications. Obviously, you can't actually bet on Spot VMs for mission critical applications. And the same way, each application or each environment should be treated in a different way, and then look or design or come up with that smart architectural choices. That's it. Now, the core of it is understanding that strategic balance. The challenge of not having capacity in the cloud, it's not cloud's failure. I mean, lots and lots of organizations are actually moving into cloud. So definitely there can be hiccups, but that said, there should be the reliable practices along with cost that should be in place to build that the best solution basically. So the one thing that I want to mention is you cannot maximize cost savings, availability, and flexibility all at once. If you can, that's really great. That is that is a state that we need to go for. But that is something that we all need to clearly understand, that there are trade-offs for that, and there should be the right weight given to the right things. And the solution is to design the right architecture for the right workload. That's it. Like each application can be targeted in a different way. So that is where the tiering strategy really helps with. So and each organization might have a different strategy, like tier zero, tier one, whatever they actually want to put into that. But then when something is like really really critical, which has like millions of dollars impact, even for like minutes or hours of outage, and can't withstand any I mean, if they are like intolerant, then they should consider like capacitor reservations, where, I mean, as said, this is like growing in the industry, and several organizations or several firms are facing this challenge. That so now tier zero applications should be treated in a different way, where you need to have all the right things, like on-demand capacity, like maybe your multi-region architecture, multi-zonal architecture, and all that. And this definitely justifies higher cost, and that should be completely fine. And as FinOps advocates, we need to promote that. The same thing goes for the tier one, tier two, and tier three. Okay, as this goes down in the list, obviously that might need not require a reliability, and that is where more cost practices or more cost savings or discounts, the automation that we have on the stage three, on the optimize and operate side of things, can actually fall into that. So this is again a pure representation of how to treat the criticality and the cost side of things. So how this even impacts the business. Obviously, if it is a tier zero, and if it needs like a multi-region architecture, then it is considered as a like hot environment, where you should not think about spinning up a second environment, and obviously that will have a higher cost, but that is justified. Like it's a multi-region active. But then for critical applications, might not be that mission critical tier one applications, it can be a hot warm phase, where it can be like, even though it is multi-region, maybe active passive strategies can actually work in that in scenario. And then like tier two, tier three, hot cold, or sometimes like even some things which can actually purely depend on the archival, like backup and restores. Those things can actually work. So these are some of the practices that we as FinOps teams, or we as FinOps advocates, or FinOps plus advocates, we need to promote or ask these questions when our organizations are building solutions. We need to actually ask, like the primary question that we need to ask is, what is the cost of downtime? And then from there, the discussion should actually arise, and then the architecture should be built, and all these considerations should be taken into that. So at the end, by integrating all these financial insights with operational practice, like planning, FinOps supports sustained reliability along with the business continuity. So that's it. I mean, embracing FinOps as a strategic discipline empowers organizations to like balance reliability and at the same time cost effectively, and to that factor like security through. So thoughtful architecture, capacity management, really critical these days, and financial strategies unlock the full potential of cloud investments. So yeah, that's all I have.
Thanks. Thanks, Gautam, for that. I think it was very interesting. Really, if you have any questions, please feel free to use the Q&A or use the chat, whatever you consider. Thanks for the content. As mentioned, all the recordings and everything will be shared with everyone attending. I will try to get all the slide decks, but that will probably take me a little bit more time. So the recordings will be first for sure. Then I'm going to start with the voting, so you can rate Gutham's presentation, and I'm going to share with you some giveaway that we are going to be doing for those ones, the strong ones that are lasting till the end of the event. So please let's vote, and then I will share the link with you guys. So Ernest asks about a question that you can say or not say. That is, how is FinOps at Microsoft? Is it part of engineering or is it part of finance? You can feel free to answer or decline answering because of whatever.
Yeah, I'll decline this one.
No problem. I totally get it. You can unless you can reach out and maybe then you can have like a more private conversation around that
I
topic.
mean, so basically, I mean, I just want to say one thing. It is within Microsoft, right? FinOps
Mhm.
is like embedded into every individual. So though maybe by not specifically by the name, but then like we all right internally we work and we all get our subscriptions and all that, right? So we work on that. Our subscriptions by default have all these cost policies in place that if I spin up something, it has to go down in the night, and that is done by default. So it's basically that practices are embedded into everyone's individual subscriptions as well. That we all follow that, and then that is how we practice things. But overall, this is like widely adopted, and we are part of the focus and FinOps Foundation and all that good stuff. So definitely, I mean, it is like tightly integrated within the ecosystem. Yeah.
Thanks for clarifying that.